Hey girl, welcome to my channel. I'm Shantae Charles, the creator of Motherhood and Entrepreneurship. I am a wife and a mom of four boys, ages 8, 7, 4, and 1 years old. I am an entrepreneur and a small business owner. I've been a small business owner for the last 6 years. I created Motherhood and Entrepreneurship to inspire women, to encourage you to take the leap into entrepreneurship. Oftentimes society will tell women that you can't be a wife, a mom, and a successful business owner. But I'm here to dispel that myth. You can be a wife, a mom, and a successful business owner. You don't have to sacrifice your family for the success of your business, and you don't have to sacrifice your dreams of being a business owner in order to be a mom. You can have it all. Will it always look perfect? No, it won't, because life isn't perfect, but it is all possible. Consider the Proverbs 31 woman. She took care of her family, but she also dominated in the marketplace. So I created Motherhood and Entrepreneurship for us women to take the journey together as wives, mothers, and entrepreneurs. I am going to replay a conversation that I recently had with a group of women in Clubhouse, in the club Mommyhood and Entrepreneurship. It was a discussion on write the vision, but remember your why. It's the beginning of the new year, and oftentimes many of us will create a vision board, and at the end of the year, we're disappointed when everything that we have on our vision board did not manifest. It didn't come to fruition. I think oftentimes we will create a vision board, but we don't remember why we created the vision board, and we don't unpack the steps on what we need to do in order to make our vision board our reality. So I'm going to replay the conversation that I recently had. I hope you find it beneficial. If you enjoy my channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, and do me a favor, share it with some other women. We can all help each other out. I appreciate it. And here goes the replay. I hope you enjoy it. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the room. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Shantae Charles. Thank you for taking a moment out of your evening to spend some time with us. I know there are thousands of other rooms that you could have joined in on, and there are other things that you could have been doing with your time. So I really appreciate your time. I just am waiting for some more people to come on into the room. Please feel free to invite some people to the room. Okay, just let me know if you can hear me. If you can come off of your mic and let me know, Samuel, if there's a volume problem or a problem with hearing me, just let me know and I'll see if I can fix it. I live in North Dakota, for those of you that do not personally know me. And we get a lot of wind here, and when it snows, sometimes, and it is snowing this evening, and which means that the wind has picked up. So I apologize ahead of time if my internet connection is interrupted. I'm going to ask Samelia that if for some reason, if my sound goes out and I don't notice it right away, to just let me know. Or if I lose sound completely, to jump in and take over the conversation, if you don't mind. Will do. Thank you. And at any time during the conversation, if anyone in the audience would like to chime in or have something to say, please feel free to raise your hand and we will gladly invite you to the stage. Again, my name is Shantae Charles. I am the creator of this club, Mommyhood and Entrepreneurship. I'm fairly new to Clubhouse, so I ask that if I get some of the terminology wrong, please forgive me, and you can chime in and give me the right terminology. So in the future, I will know what to say or what to call a specific thing. Excuse me. But I am Shantae Purnell Charles. I started this club because I am a mom and a wife. I have 4 small children, all under the age of 10, 8, 7 as of today, 4 and 1 years old. I am a small business owner. I have owned a small business for the last 6 years. I should say a successful small business for the last 6 years. It wasn't my first business, but successful business for the last 6 years. I am an entrepreneur, and my desire is to see other women win. I genuinely want to connect with other women and see other women win, and to encourage and inspire other women, to let women know that you can be a wife and a mother and have a successful business, and your family does not have to be sacrificed, and you don't have to choose one over the other. You can do it all. It may not always look perfect because life is not perfect, but you can have it all and do it all. So I wanted to come on this evening and have a conversation. We know during this time of year, everyone, well, not everyone, but lots of people are creating their vision boards, or they're hosting vision board parties. But a lot of times we will create a vision board, but we don't write down or map out the steps on how to make our vision come to life. And then we don't write down or concentrate on why we want a specific thing. What exactly is it that we want out of this vision, and what will what we have on our vision board? Chime in, some of you.
I'm actually, give me 1 second, Shantae. I do apologize.
No, that's okay.
I'm trying to make sure I'm in an area where I have clear reception, because I figured it might be an issue on my end. Now, you made a correct statement, and it is true that it is the beginning of the year. And as you know, everyone is excited about the new year, and people are writing down their visions, their plans. And, back in the day, historically, we didn't hear write the vision when it came to the new year. It was always a new year resolution. And I believe we caught the vision, and we understand that in order for something to materialize, we're going to have to write God ordained vision. So it is important that we not only write our vision down, but we have a clear understanding what the vision is and what the assignment is for that year, and not just for the year, but for your life. And you can break it down in chunks, because you won't accomplish everything in 365 or 366 days, but you have to be able to understand what that vision is.
Right, exactly. A lot of times people, I think they will create a little vision board, and I've even been guilty of it myself. I've created a vision board, and there's like tons of things on the vision board, and looking to get them all done, or to see the manifestation of all the things on the vision board in 1 year, when in actuality, it's not always realistic that everything that you have on your vision board is going to come to light within a 1 year period. Sometimes I'm at the point now that I believe that a vision board should be for a multi-year period, not just this is everything I want in 1 year. Because like I stated, everything that you want or you have on your vision board is not going to come to fruition within the first year. So what I have started telling people is, for the new year, for 2022, is to concentrate on two things that you want to accomplish this year, two things that you want to see manifested this year. And then once you write down those two things, write down what is your part in making this come to reality. What do you have to do in order to see this thing manifested in your life? Because we know faith without works is dead. So we have to do our part in order to receive whatever it is that we want to receive. You know, the hot word now is manifestation. I'm manifesting this thing. But what exactly does that mean? You're just sitting on something like you're a hen sitting on the egg. Well, the hen doesn't sit on the egg, but you guys know what I mean. The chicken sitting on the egg waiting for it to hatch. No, and you just can't say I'm manifesting this thing. There are steps in order for your vision to be manifested. And the other thing I tell people is to write down why you want a certain thing, why, and what will your life look like when this thing comes to fruition. So one of the things that I'm focusing on right now is growing my community, or some people will say the tribe of Mommyhood and Entrepreneurship. I started this on Facebook like 3 years ago. I used to go live on Facebook every Wednesday night, encouraging women to start their own business. I'm an advocate of you need to have more than one stream of income. I've been saying that for years, long before the pandemic, because I used to have a really good job, and then the recession hit, and it hit me in the head. And I was the person that so-called played by all the rules in life. You know, the rules of don't be a teenage mom, don't use drugs, don't commit crimes, go to jail, yada, yada, yada. You know, the rules. Well, I played by the rules, but life still hit me and hit me hard. And I wasn't prepared when life came knocking. When the recession of '08 came, I found myself unemployed and then underemployed for 3 years. I thought I was going to lose my home to foreclosure. Thank God I didn't. I was able to sell my home after not paying a mortgage for 3 years, but that's a whole nother story in and of itself for a whole nother time. But after that, I was adamant about having more than one stream of income. And I know that although I am married, I'm happily married. My husband is a great man, a great provider. I don't believe my husband is stepping out on me, running around. But other women have had the same thing, and life has turned the tables on them, and they find themselves divorced, or sometimes their husband has died prematurely, and they find themselves stuck holding the financial bag and raising children. And I didn't want that to happen to me. After I was in a financial bind for so many years, I decided that I got to figure out how not to end up in this place again. Because I tell you, I was on food stamps before, actually more than once. And I wasn't the type of person that wanted to be on food stamps because, hey, you're getting something free from the government. That wasn't me. I wasn't one of those people. And not to shame anybody that if that's where you're at right now, because thank God we live in a nation that if you fall on hard times, you can go and get assistance. You don't have to rummage through the garbage to find food and all those kind of things. But I've found out that it's very important to have more than one stream of income. And just by looking at what has happened to other women and their husbands one day coming home and say they don't want to be married or their husbands have died or what have you, that you need to have more than one stream of income. As women, we have to take control of our own financial future. We have to make sure that we're financially secure and that we're able to take care of ourselves with or without our husbands. So one of the things I began focusing on once I figured that out is to inspire other women to do the same. Now, I'm not the type of person to say, oh, quit your job, leave your 9 to 5. No, because some people are called to the marketplace. But I believe that even though you may love your job, you get along well with your manager or whoever, they bow down when you go through the door in the morning, you still need to have another stream of income because you never know where life is going to turn. And we should have all figured that out from the pandemic. And even prior to the pandemic, when we had the government shutdown, it used to be that it seemed like the country would be thrown into a financial turmoil every 10 years. But now it seems like it's starting to happen like more than 10 years, maybe like every 4 to 5 years, there's another financial turmoil. So I'm a big advocate of trying to inspire women to, hey, start your own thing. You don't have to be a full-time entrepreneur. I don't care if you just buy an investment property or something to have another stream of income coming in, because you never know where life is going to turn. And for those of us that are mothers, and especially if you have multiple children like I do, sometimes you may have one child get sick, they get better, then the next child gets sick, and then you're out of work for a period of time, and you find your supervisor, your manager, or whoever is giving you an attitude or giving you a problem, irregardless of whether or not you have PTO time to cover it or not. Because I've worked a job before that I had the sick time, but when you go back to work, you're met with an attitude because you took off from work even though you had an excused absence. So I didn't want to be in that situation where I'm at the mercy of someone else, or if my job decides that they're going to close down, or God forbid if my husband one day decides that he no longer wants to be married, or even worse, if he dies. I need to be able to take care of myself and my children without anyone else and without government assistance, if I can, to the best of my ability. So one of my goals is to help inspire other women so that even so as a community, especially, I'm open to all women, no matter what ethnicity you are or what culture you are, but especially for Black women, we are oftentimes the most educated, the least paid, and the most disrespected. And we have to own our own in order to be able to control our entire life, control our time, and our financial future. I yield my right.
Wow. Shantae, you said a mouthful, and my goodness, I was taking down notes as you were speaking as far as what you were saying, and you said a lot. Let's piggyback, and I want to go back to the fact that we talk about vision boards, and talked about vision board parties and whatnot. Vision boards are very important. Um, Writing your vision, writing a plan for your life is extremely important, because without a vision, you don't know where you're going to go. The vision or the vision statement is what I like to call it, is the blueprint for your life, the blueprint for the year in which you are going to pursue those goals. So in writing the vision is very important, because the Bible tells us in the Habakkuk to write the vision and make it plain. Now, we often like to quote that scripture, because when we talk about vision, we want to relate it to that. But if you read in Habakkuk 1, God was prophesying to Habakkuk what was about to happen. And oftentimes we'll write our visions and we think they're supposed to materialize, or like you said, the word manifest within that year. And we can write a vision and we can write goals that's extensive, But the reality is, you have to write measurable goals, goals that you can actually achieve. And if we look back in 2020, when the pandemic hit, that was evidence that we had to pivot from our goals, because many of us had goals. And I'll give you an example. For example, myself, I had a goal to travel to Africa, to travel back to Asia, and to go to Dubai. But the pandemic occurred, so that shifted my goal, and I wasn't able to travel. But that did not stop me from living. I just had to pivot and change what I wanted to do as far as when it came to travel. I knew I had to stay put, to be safe because of the pandemic. But it's important, that we understand the type of goals that we have, and they align with the purpose and the plan that God has for our lives. Now, you talked about manifest, and this is the word manifest, and people are using this word, and it's heavy centric, and I don't think people understand what the word itself means. It is a verb, and it says that to display or show by one's acts of appearance or to demonstrate. So oftentimes we say manifest, and it's almost like, okay, are you casting a spell? What kind of witchery are you talking about? Because you have to do the work. You're believing God to do it, and you want it to manifest. But the word of God says that faith without works is dead. So if you're not putting the work behind what you're believing God to do, and what that vision you claim God gave you, if that's what He gave you, and you wrote down that vision or those goals, and you're not doing the work, it will not materialize, and it definitely won't manifest. So we have to make sure that we're exhibiting the behaviors that will definitely show evidence of the work that we're doing. Now, you also talked about being a woman of substance, being a woman that understand that life will throw curveballs, and like yourself, Shantae, I have experienced my own personal trials, and experienced curveballs in life, and realized that, you know what, I had to always make sure that I didn't rely solely on one income. And that is so true. We must develop multiple streams of income. When you look at the average millionaire has at least seven different streams of income. And and you talked about something that's so important as women of color. We are we're at a disadvantage, especially in the workplace, and sometimes we don't even properly not realizing that the decisions that we make today will affect our tomorrow, and the decisions that we made in the past affects our future as well. And not only it affects it can affect it in a positive or a negative way. And depending on the choices that you make, it can cause major delay, because we're all created to succeed. However, it depends on what success looks like and what our dreams and our aspirations are for life. So when you talked about the multiple streams of income, I was like, yes, it is so important. And one of the things that I teach, and for those of you that don't know me, my name is Samelia Eugene. I'm the transformation strategist. I'm a life and a professional coach. And one thing that I do is I help drive women to purpose, help to transform their lives. And that's one of the areas that I love teaching, is about having multiple incomes. And I understand the reason for having multiple incomes, because like you said, Shantae, you can lose income from your place of employment, and then what happens? You talked about you're a wife and a mother of 4 kids, and you have a loving, dutiful husband who's a hard worker. But guess what? If he, God forbid, passed away, what is the financial contingency plan? So when we talk about having these 7 streams of income, before we get to that, talk about goals and setting a vision for your life. You have to make sure that Financially, you are making sound decisions, understanding how money works. So when you talk about goals, what type of goals do you set? You should have goals for 4 areas of your life: your personal life, your spiritual life, your professional life, and your personal, spiritual, professional, and financial. So if you don't know where to start, those are 4 areas to start. And you want to look and ask yourself, what type of goals do I want to set for myself? Whether you are a mother or not, whether you are a wife or not, as a woman, what type of goals do you want for your life? And one of the things that I love to teach is teaching women to work with the gifts that God has given them. And one of the stories that I love to refer to when you start talking about the giftings that God has given us, because I connect everything with the word of God. And why do I do that? That is my principle in life. That's my principle in business, is because the word of God gives life to everything that you speak to. Because the word of God said death and life is in the power of the tongue. So if I can speak life into the dream and the vision that God had given me, and I put the sweat equity and I put the work into it, guess what? I don't have to worry about walking around here talking about manifest like I'm a witch or a warlock. It's going to materialize because the word of God says that you shall decree a thing and it shall be established in the earth, that God has blessed the working of your hands. So when I work with women, I always ask them, and I always get this, well, I don't know, what am I supposed to do? I don't know what God has given me. And I like to say, what do you have in your house? Let me tell you, if you don't know what to do, the first, a lot of people like to call it a hustle, call it what you want to call it. If you look around your house, there are things that you have in your home that you don't really even use. Put it on OfferUp. Do an online consignment shop. There are so many different ways that you could bring income into your home. And then not only that, I like to ask this question: what are things people come to you that you do so well that they always come to you to do? For most, it may be cooking, it may be cleaning, it may be a product or a service that you can provide. So when it comes to creating multiple streams of income, you don't have to travel far to figure out how to start those multiple streams of income. Growing up, I was the second kid of 8 children to a one income household. My parents, immigrant parents from Haiti, coming to this country because my mom had so many. My parents, they just had so many kids. It wasn't beneficial for my mom to go out and get a job. She tried, but it didn't work out. When she came and picked me up from daycare, and she found me all mudded up and wasn't being taken care of, and you're working for pennies on the dollars and only to be paying most of it to daycare, you realize is not a benefit. So my mom went ahead and became an at-home mom. But on the weekends, what my mom would do was she would go to the local flea market and sell new and used goods. So I can remember, even as a little girl, before I can even remember, I'm being told stories about this, going to the swap meet, most people would call it flea market swap meet, and go with my mom and watch my mom do her thing. My mom would bring in more money than she would bring on a 9 to 5 on 2 days, on a Saturday and Sunday, than she would bring in on 5 days. Let me tell you, we have the power in our hands. And sitting there as a little girl, I watched my mom. I helped my mom. I was like her sidekick. And even in that, and I'm watching how my mom managed her business, someone with what would be considered no education here in this country, because she came as an immigrant. She was like not even 27 at the time, a mother of 2 children, and was already pregnant with her third kid. So my mom used the working of her hands, and she used the wisdom that God gave her to make an income. There were things my dad used to come home. I can remember he came home, furniture was there. I would remember we would go to the furniture store, the local furniture store, and my mom said she wanted new furniture, and my dad would come home and he just saw furniture was delivered. My mom made things happen, and I remember, I remember you talked about the fact that your husband can get sick, he can pass away, and I remember my dad got injured on a job, and he was working for this company, and he got injured on the job, and my dad almost lost his life. But thanks be to God, God covered him and he kept him at that time, and my dad had depleted all the savings they had. But what ended up happening is at that time, my mom was still, she wasn't doing as much business, but she had done enough business and managed her money in such a way that she was able to take the slack. Keep in mind, a one income household, immigrant parents with 8 greedy kids, 8 growing children. And so my mom was able to hold down the fort. And I said at that time, and I was young, I said, I never want to be in a position where if my husband could not make ends meet because he lost his job or he got injured on the job, that I wouldn't be able to hold down the fort in the home. So it is important when it comes to having multiple streams of income, and not just that, using the gifting of your hands. Whatever you are good at, whatever you do that solve problems for other people, that's what you need to capitalize on.
That was so good. That was so good. I'm going to reset the room. Welcome to the room, you ladies. Julie, Majesty, Sierra, thank you for taking time out of your schedule to just join in on the room. I am Shantae Purnell Charles. I am the creator of this club, Motherhood and Entrepreneurship. I teach women how to increase their income without going back to college, getting a certification or a degree, without having to work overtime or take on a second job. And we're just talking about writing your vision, but remembering your why. And anytime during the conversation, if you would like to chime in and have something to say, raise your hand and we will invite you to the stage and you'll be able to speak. Mimi, I just wanted to piggyback on what you were saying about financial goals. That was so good because we're always taught about goals, but oftentimes we're not taught about having a financial goal. What is your financial goal? Because do you want to have to work your whole life at 65 down at Walmart at the door as a greeter saying welcome to Walmart? And at this point, that job isn't going to exist because AI is taking over those jobs. What I say are remedial jobs, and I don't say that as a disrespectful thing, but that it is what it is. It doesn't take a lot of skill and talent to do that job. Artificial intelligence is taking that over. And I love what you said about not having to travel far to figure out how to make additional money. I like to say using what's in your hand to make a profit. Before I became financially independent, I was a CNA. For those of you who are in the medical field, I was a certified nursing assistant. I was making $12 an hour. I was overworked, underpaid, and definitely unappreciated. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired and fed up. And my husband, who at the time that I was a CNA, made a very good living. We live here in North Dakota. A lot of people don't know that outside of Texas, North Dakota is the second highest producer of oil in the United States. So wages are good here. And my husband had a job that was related to the oil field. He was a welder. He didn't work directly in the oil field, but he was a welder. He did the tanks that held the oil. And my husband, anytime you work a job that's oil for related, you're going to work between 12 to 14 hours a day, and sometimes 16. And my husband made a really good living, a really good salary. And one day he went to work and they said, we're going to have to lay some people off. Well, he didn't get laid off, but less than 30 days later, the whole business had closed up shop. The price of oil was down. When the price of gas goes down, everyone else in America is excited. Oh, cheap gas. But we that live here in North Dakota, like, oh no. We love to see high gas prices because that stimulates our economy. But my husband found himself unemployed. He did find another job, but opposed to having to drive 5 minutes away from where we live, he had to literally drive 2 hours away to work 12 to 14 hours a day, then drive 2 hours home and do it all over again. He worked there for about 3 months. That job closed up. Found another job, same thing happened. And one day I said to myself, and I said to the Lord, I can't take this crap. I'm sick of this crap. I can't do this, because by this time we were on food stamps, we were on child care assistance, and whatever else the government had to offer. And my husband is Trinidadian. And he's a very prideful man. And most Black men, no matter where they're from, are prideful. But island men are built kind of different because they don't have social services programs where my husband came from. And he was like, we're not doing that. I'm going to find another job. I have to get 2-3 jobs. We're not doing that. And I'm like, babe, but the kids need insurance. We can get free health insurance through Medicaid here while you're in between jobs. The government has food stamps. My husband had never heard of food stamps before. And he's been here in America since he was 17 years old. But he was like, we're not doing that. So I'm like, babe, we got to do what we got to do. So we got on those programs, but I knew I did not want to be there. So I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm sick of this crap. I can't take it. And the Lord said to me, well, you know what to do. And I'm like, huh? He said, you know what to do. And prior to that, I have been an independent contractor with the state of North Dakota. The state of North Dakota, because parts of this state are very rural, is one of the few states in America where you can do home health or non-medical home health without having to start an agency or actual business. You can do it as an individual and contract with the state and get paid for Medicaid via the state without having to start an agency. So I was doing that a little here, a little there, but didn't really take it serious. But then life came along and busted me in the head again. And I said, okay, I got to do something. And the Lord said, well, you know what to do. And I'm like, what? He said, yeah, you know what to do. So I stopped being afraid, stopped saying to myself, I've never had this kind of business before. I don't know what to do. Because prior to that, I had businesses, but it wasn't anything where I had to hire employees, have workman's comp, have unemployment insurance, run a payroll. So that kept me from getting off the fence. For like 4 years, I was an independent contractor with the state. But finally, I said, you know what, let me stop being afraid, because I wanted to play a part in securing my financial future. I didn't want it to be left up to anyone else. And I started my agency, and I went from $12 an hour to over 6 figures in less than 12 months. And it drastically changed our financial future. Thank God my husband did find another job, but I no longer had to sit up and worry about, oh God, what if he loses his job again? Are we going to go back to food stamps? And the worst thought was, oh God, am I going to have to ask my parents, can we move home? My husband probably would have had a minor stroke if that would have happened. But I figured out what I needed to change my financial future was already in my hand. I was a certified nursing assistant. I didn't have to think about something that was far out left field, go from certified nursing assistant to talking about, oh, I'm going to grow tobacco, something I have no clue about. I was able to turn a business into something that I was already familiar with. So a lot of times, just as Samelia said, what we need to change our financial future is already in our hand. We don't have to travel far to look for it. I just want to reset the room. For those of you who have just joined in, I'm Shantae Purnell Charles, and this evening we are talking about write the vision, but remember your why. Sequia, thank you very much for joining us on stage. I'm going to yield my mic, and you can go ahead and chime in and tell me whether or not I pronounced your name correctly.
It's okay. It's Sequia as in Queen Sequisa. Sequisa. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Yes. Thank you so much for having me on the stage. Oh my goodness, you have no idea how I needed this room tonight. I'm not sure how to say the transformation strategist name. When you were speaking, when I came into the room, it was like you were talking directly to me. And I back challenged you, hey friend, because so many of the things that you said, God had downloaded in my spirit, because I've done several videos about faith without works is dead. And there were so many other things that you said that I was clapping so much that I couldn't remember everything. But just know that your words moved me tonight. I also wanted to add on to some of the things you said, because you said you do coaching for women to help them start their businesses. Well, I do too. What I kind of do is I'm like the startup. You know, in business, you can have several coaches. If you don't know where to start, I suggest you start up with a startup coach to help you get the mindset. And that's what I do. Help you with the mindset, and I also help you decide what lane to go in. And when you were saying that you told them, to look around their house and things like that, one of the things I tell people is, what is the one thing that you could do every day for the rest of your life for free and be happy? If you can find that business and make money out of that, you will never be broke another day in your life. So I wanted to add that to what you had to say. And then to the topic, write the vision, but remember your why. I believe that's very important, but you also want to add the purpose to that as well. Because sometimes you will lose vision of your why. And, my why are my daughters. And it's because of the fact that I brought them in this world. And I feel like it's my responsibility to leave it better for them than, I have. And my daughter's in, law school right now. And I realized one day that she was in the exact same place that I was in. And I started to reflect on my life. And my mother, when I was 7 years old, had a car wreck that left her paralyzed from the neck down. So that's where I first entered the world of nursing, and that's where I, fell in love with nursing. But that's another story for another day. And my father did the best that he could, but, my father was a man, and he ran the household. And I remember one day my mother told me, she pulled me to the side, and she said, if a man controls the bread, he not only controls how much you eat, but he controls when you eat. And because of that, I have always known. Oh, I'm sorry. That was powerful. Thank you so much. I've always known that I had to be independent, because years later, I had a house fire where I lost everything that I owned. And my mother's sisters, who over years I've changed their names. I can't tell y'all what I used to say because I'm a Christian now. But now I call them the witches of the north, south, east, and west. They came in and tricked my mother into signing over the power of attorney. So they took all of the money. And at this time, I'm pregnant and I'm living with my fiance. And since he thinks that I'm broke, I noticed a change in his demeanor. He left when he wanted to leave. He didn't feel like he owed me an explanation. He stopped respecting me. So that's when I knew I didn't listen to my mother. So to make a long story short, once I realized that I was not in the place that my mother wanted me to be, once I realized that I was not the example that I wanted my daughters to have, I decided I needed to change my life. And it didn't really hit me until my mother died in 2016. And I was in a deep depression for 2 years. And I kept seeing her, and I kept hearing the same message that I told you about earlier. And I knew I had to do something different, but I kept doubting myself. And that's the biggest thing with a lot of us. We doubt ourselves no matter how great we are. We don't believe that we can. But one thing my mother always told me is that I could be anything that I can be. So I decided I wanted to write a book. People told me I should write a book. How can you write a book? You don't know anybody that wrote a book. Nobody's going to sell your book. I wrote my book, No Colored Nurses, in 2018. And then I decided that I wanted to have my own business. And I told my father this. And my father said, why would you quit a 6-figure job? And I told him, because in that job, I'll never make 7 figures. So I tell you all of that to tell you this: no matter what your story is, it's your testimony. And I enjoyed listening to both of you ladies' testimony. And I want to tell you that whatever you're going through is a test, because I have a test today. I don't know if I mentioned this or not, but I am the owner of Above Average Health and House Calls, a herstory making clinic. I'm the first nurse practitioner to open up their privately owned clinic in my county. Well, today, the landlord's worker decided to let me know that she might terminate my lease because she was upset with me, because I ran into the owner today and we were talking about something totally different. And I offered to pay him my rent because I had been trying to pay her for 3 months. So I got a text message from her letting me know that it's up to her to decide if I'll be able to stay in my building another month. And so right before I came into this room, I was very upset, trying to decide what I'm going to do now, because I put so much time and energy into this office building. I've got cards printed. I've got signs made. People are finally figuring out where I am. And I heard a voice saying to me, why are you upset? You always knew that's not where you're going to be. Your vision is you going to be in your own building. That's not your building. So I say that to say, listen to that voice that's inside of you, the one that's telling you to dream bigger, dream bigger. I was so upset because I thought I was about to lose my rented office space, forgetting that God had already promised me my own building. My name is Sequisa, and I pass the mic back. My God, Sequisa, oh my God. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I took in what you said, so many nuggets. And one thing that I want to say that I love when you talked about, finding the one thing that you can do, and you can do it for the rest of your life, and you'll never be broke. I teach that also. But one thing Shantae and I are notorious for in our coaching business is we leave no money on the table. But I love that. I really, really love that. And I love the fact that you talked about when a man can control what you can eat, he can control how and when you eat, and probably even where you eat. This is something that I learned at a very young age, and I'm going to pivot backwards into what we were talking about when we talked about having financial goals as women, because I talked about it and it seemed like I skirted through it, but I want to make sure that when we speak, and we're speaking the word of God, and we want to make sure that we have impact on the lives of somebody. Most of the times, financial goals, what does that mean? And I'll give some examples of financial goals. If you don't understand financial literacy, meaning understanding how money works, how to use money, that is the first thing you want to do. You want to improve on your financial literacy. Because if you don't have a relationship with money, and depending on how your relationship with money is, meaning that if it comes in your hand and it goes out quicker and you're not investing, you're not saving, that means you have a problem when it comes to money. You don't know how to manage and steward over the money and the finances that God has given you. A financial goal is also creating a budget. When you have a budget, it's similar to your goal. It's similar to your vision. It is the financial roadmap that tells you how much you bring in on a weekly, or monthly basis, and how much expenses you have, and how much disposable income. Disposable income is the money that's left after you paid all your expenses. But this is not the money that you take and you go and go get that Gucci bag or that Louis and splurging, but this is the money that you can use to where you can save for retirement outside of your place of employment, like investing in the stock market or getting a Roth IRA, so that way you can invest for your long-term plans, or for short-term or mid-term plans. Another goal, financial goal, would be to pay off your debt and build good credit. You can't save and you cannot build if you owe anyone. So having good credit is very important. Yes, cash is king, but let me tell you, you still need good credit to be able to purchase a home. You still need good credit to rent anything, rent or lease. And a lot of people are not homeowners. A lot of people cannot even buy purchase a vehicle without somebody else co-signing because they lack credit. And a good credit is just as good as your good name, and it's based on your credit worthiness. Like, can we trust to lend you this money? Another financial goal would be to make more money, and we talked about having multiple streams of income and not having to get a second job or a third job just to try to make ends meet. And when we was talking about the multiple streams of income, yes, I went to college. Yes, I got the degree. Yes, I'm working on somebody's corporate job. But guess what? I have different and multiple streams of income that will supplement me, supplement the income that I have. So I don't have to worry about going out to get another job. I would not get a second job, and I definitely wouldn't do overtime because I love what I'm doing and it's more fulfilling. So when we talk about the why, you mentioned, Sequise, the purpose. Purpose is included in our whys, and you're absolutely right. Purpose relates to your why. And I read a quote from Forbes Business Magazine a while back, and I had to look it up for this call tonight. And it says that people don't buy what you do or how you do it; they buy why you do it. So whatever it is that you're doing, nobody's not, they could care less. You can make a product, it could be faulty, but if you're passionate about it and you can explain, like, I make this, I'm a life coach because, and I'm the transformation strategist because I want to see people's trajectories change, and I want to see their lives transform. I believe that people can be who God want them to be, who God created them to be. That's my why. I'm passionate about seeing women make multiple streams of income. And let me tell you, Sequise, I'm going to steal this one from you now, from now on. And I'm a feminist at heart. I'm definitely passionate about women being able to hold their own, because no man will ever be able to control them and to tell them what they can eat, when they can eat, where they can eat it, and how they can eat it. So when you think about your why, purpose should always permeate everything that you do. Your why comes from deep within you. Your why is who you were created to be in the earth. And God created you to solve a problem in the earth for people. Your why compels you to do the work that God has called you to do. People may not understand it. People may not even embrace it, but everybody's not called to you. And when you understand your why, you could care less who's not buying from you, because you know that God is sending men for you and people for your life. My name is Samelia Eugene. I'm the transformation strategist. I'm going to yield my mic at this time.
Oh my goodness. Let me tell you, that was, excuse me, that was straight fire. Fire, fire, fire. I just want to go back to when you were talking about financial goals. And part of a financial goal, or a financial goal, should be credit. You know, I don't think a lot of people often understand how credit can impact our lives. Not just on whether or not you get an apartment, it impacts whether or not you can get certain jobs. Will you pass a security clearance if you want a particular job? it affects how much you're going to pay, not just for car insurance, but also life insurance. Whether or not you're going to even get insured once you get to requesting a certain level of insurance, because not only are they going to give you a physical, but they're going to pull your financial record, because they want to know, because unfortunately, many people have been in a financial crisis and they will either fake their death or they will have someone kill them in order for their family to get the insurance. So a lot of people do not understand that having good credit is more than just about getting a car and all those kind of things, which we want to get a car and we don't want to pay high interest rates, but having good credit is much more to it. And speaking of credit, when I first started my business, because life had took a horrid turn for me financially, even though I was making over six figures, I could not get anything on credit. I went to get a car. They told me I needed a co-signer. I didn't have anybody that can co-sign for me because everybody I knew had bad credit as well. I wanted to expand my business, and because my business hadn't been around that long, I could not get a business loan. So I had to get a personal loan. But because my credit was so bad, I couldn't even get a personal loan to even expand my business. That was very embarrassing to me, that you go to the bank, you fill out documents, they pull your credit report, and they're like, no, your credit score is so low. And then that I can't even expand my business and hire more people because I didn't have the money to float payroll because I couldn't get credit. So I decided to figure out how to fix my credit. I had heard so much about credit repair and this and that or what have you. But after being so long without a decent job and finally start making money, I didn't want to pay anybody thousands of dollars to fix my credit and not being able to be sure whether or not they were going to be able to do what they claimed they could do. Because we know there's a lot of people that say a lot of things, but it's like, okay, can it be true? So I started doing research and I fixed my own credit. I figured out that just because something is listed on your credit report, first of all, a lot of times things are on our credit report and they're inaccurate. And even if it's accurate on your credit report, it doesn't mean that it legally has the right to be on your credit report. Because what a lot of people don't understand is that when something is listed on your credit, the creditor has to prove that the debt actually belongs to you. They have to validate the debt. And oftentimes, when you have bad credit, most of the time you've ended up in collections. You, as a third party collector, trying to collect money from you. So you have the ability to dispute any and everything that's on your credit. Just because it's on your credit, it doesn't mean that you have to be plagued with bad credit for the next 7 to 10 years. That's not so. So I figured out the laws and that you could repair your own credit. It simply takes a matter of time. You're not able to fix your credit overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. You're able to do it on your own without paying hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars. You can repair your own credit. And it simply just takes a matter of sending letters out to the credit bureaus, sending letters out to them, and you can subsequently possibly get negative items removed off of your credit report if the creditor, the collection agency, is not able to validate the debt. Now, one of the things that causes people to file bankruptcy every year or prevent people from getting a car, getting a home, being more financially stable is medical bills. A lot of times people have a lot of medical bills on their credit report and they don't know that they have the right to get those things, those negative medical bills that have been turned over to third-party collection agencies off of your credit report by simply using the HIPAA law to your advantage.
And HIPAA basically says, and I'm giving you the brief of it, is basically that you request for them to validate the debt by proving what doctor you saw, when you saw the doctor, and what services they provided to you. But you didn't give permission to the third-party agency to have access to your medical records. So with that being said, the third-party collection agency isn't going to be able to validate the debt. So once they're not able to validate the debt after you send them a letter and or send a letter to the credit bureau, they'll have to legally remove that debt off of your credit report. So a lot of people don't know that now, let me make this disclaimer. When the debt is removed from your credit report, it doesn't mean that you no longer owe the debt. So I don't want anybody to get that twisted. It simply means that they no longer have the right to collect the debt from you, and they no longer have the right to call you at your place of employment, at your job, at your home, or what have you, and to request collection of the debt. But they have to remove it off of your credit report. And I'm just gonna pin a link to where you can purchase my book on repairing your credit yourself. It is a DIY book. The best thing about this book is that it's an ebook. When you purchase the book, it's downloadable, of course, it's an ebook. But the book includes the letters that you can use to send to the collection agencies and to the credit bureaus, where you'll be able to fix your credit yourself. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars to fix your credit. It's simply a matter of sending letters to the credit bureaus and to the collection agencies. And it's going to take time. It's not an overnight process, but remember, you didn't jack up your credit overnight. It took time to ruin your credit, and it's going to take time to fix it, but you have to start somewhere. And don't be like those people that say, well, it's going to take time, it's going to take so long. Well, time is going to pass anyway. Irregardless, time is passing. So why not start the process now of repairing your credit? And just back to securing your financial future, we know, well, we should all know as adults, that one of the best ways, the main ways that people generate generational wealth is through home ownership. And if you have bad credit, it's very hard and nearly impossible to purchase a home. So I just wanted to point that part out to you guys, just because Samelia brought up the credit piece or what have you. And you can go to the website that I pinged in the top of the comments, and you can purchase my book, Royal Credit, if you would like. And thank you in advance for your support. I'm going to yield my mic. If anyone down in the audience would like to chime in and have something to say, please raise your hand and we will gladly bring you to the stage. I am learning so much tonight. Like, I know I've been in business for 3 years, and I'm just now getting to the point of realizing the importance of credit. You know, if you don't know, you don't know. I was in a room with one lady who said that she bought an apartment building on her credit card, and I knew then I had to get me one of those. So I'm working on my credit, and the thing is, I've paid several people. I've paid to have my credit repaired 3 times, and nothing happens. Like, nothing's changing. So I've decided to try to teach myself how to repair my credit, but it is very I don't know. I can't figure it out. I have one person say all you have to do is send letters, and then another person had me, send these letters to people and challenge everything on it, and then put a freeze on it. So I'm trying to figure it out. But if you want to go in business, you cannot take it to the next level without credit. Because if you want to buy your own building, which is what I told y'all was put on my heart, I have to have my credit together. And I've been working on it. So my number is going up. And I believe I'm at the level that I will be able to get the one that I want. Because I actually, networking in one of these rooms, was in a room with a lady by the name of Benicia. and she lives in Dallas, and she owns her own bank. So going in to there instead of the bank that probably would not give me a loan based on who I am gives me more hope, because I had okay credit, and I had one of the a personal credit card, $500, and they made me do prepay. Now keep in mind, this is the same bank that I get 10, 15,000, $16,000 checks 2 or 3 times a week from the government. They would not give me they would not give me a unsecured card. I had to pay $500 for this card, even though they could see all the money coming in, and my credit really was not that bad. So it took them 4 years to change my amount. Guess what they did? They changed it to an unsecured. So I'm still at $500. So also networking and making sure that you're getting into the right rooms with the right people and the right bankers at the right banks is also vital, because like you said earlier, it is harder for us to get what we need. So making sure that not only are you learning the world of money, you're also learning the movers and shakers in your industry. If there are bankers in your town that you know that will support you, get to know them. That's all part of making your business grow, because when you want to get to the next level, you have to know what rooms to be in to get there. And so I am so excited that I stumbled into this room tonight, because I feel like some friendships, some bonds, some maybe credit repair challenges, maybe some fasting challenges is coming out of this room tonight. And I am so excited that God put that on my heart. My name is Sequisa, and I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Sequise, for joining the room. I just really appreciate that you ladies took time out of your busy schedule and out of all of the other clubs that you could have joined in on a room on this evening, that you took time out of your busy schedule to come into the room. I really appreciate it. And I just want to say, going back to the credit repair piece, if someone ever tells you to dispute everything at once, you don't want to do that, because they're going to say it's just a fraud and that it's a whole bunch of invalid complaints, disputes. So you don't want to do that. That's why I tell people that it takes time. It's not an overnight fix. Excuse me. And just to go back to what we're talking about, ladies, I'm Shantae Purnell Charles. I am the founder of this room, Mommyhood and Entrepreneurship. My goal is to network with women, and I just want to inspire women to get out and start your own thing. Start your own business. Don't be a slave to someone else. Even if you have your own business, even if you have a 9-to-5 job, there's nothing wrong with a 9-to-5 job, but we don't want to be caught with just one income. We don't want to do that. So one of the things that I do is I teach women how to increase their income without going back to school, getting a college degree or another degree or certificate, without working overtime or taking on a second job. And I do that by teaching them how to start their own non-medical in-home care business. What a lot of people do not know is you do not need a medical background in order to start a non-medical or even a home health, a medical home care agency. You do not need a medical background. In fact, the last person who I helped start her home care agency, she worked as a cook at Whole Foods. So a lot of people do not know that. And home care is a $400 billion industry. And despite what's going on with COVID, home care is still growing. Even before COVID, people were opting to leave their loved ones out of the nursing home, because it has been proven that when people go to the nursing home, they transition to the afterlife faster than they would have if they had remained independent. And with COVID coming on the scene, even more people are opting to leave their loved ones at home because they don't want to risk the exposure. There is still a lot of money to be made. And the good thing that I love about the business that I run is that once you get up and running and you set it up on autopilot, you're able to make money in your sleep. It doesn't matter if you're in the country, out of the country, if you're down at your kid's soccer game, if you're in the bed asleep, you're still able to make money, what I like to call sleep coins. I yield my mic. Julie, welcome to the stage. Go ahead and chime in.
I just thank all of you guys that shared this evening. I received so much great nuggets, and it encouraged me to move on with my business, which I recently started out the beginning of last year, and I was able to launch it the beginning of this year, January. The beginning of this year. So I just thank you all for sharing, and I would look forward to using all these great nuggets in my small business. And it's called Realign My Space. And the sole purpose is to have everyone, no matter what age bracket you're in, to re-love the space that you're in. That's all I have to say for tonight. Thank you, Julie, for chiming in. And I just want to let everybody know that Realign My Space, I partnered with Julie last year. Actually, when I purchased my home, I had a vision to have a in-home office, not realizing that we were going to be going into a pandemic. So I live in a multi-story home, and on my third floor, I have my office. And Realign My Space came in and helped me to truly align my space to make it a functional working space. So not only do I have a functional office that includes my desk and my bookshelves and everything. I even have a couch area, so if I'm going to do any live streaming, I don't even have to go downstairs to my living room. I have a functional space in that office. And then not only that, Realign My Space helped me to create a really nice living area, so where I can entertain guests and enjoy my space, and the structure and how they help me to structure my living space is just amazing, and it's found on her website as well. So thank you so much, Julie, for chiming in, and I'm happy to hear that the nuggets that we shared were very helpful, and I look forward to seeing you get more involved and expose yourself in the business that you're doing. Shantae, I just wanted to say thanks for talking about the credit repair aspect of financial goals. That was one that I remember that was big for me prior to getting my home. And so please, let me tell you, you will get that get that building. You won't be renting. You won't be leasing. God will make you an owner of the things that you desire, and when it lines up with His will and purpose for your life, and when you write that on your vision board, trust and believe you will get that. I remember until I purchased my home, I have on my vision board a home, and every year when I would redo my vision board, I would add a home on the vision board, and I still have my vision board, and I did not take that down until I purchased my home. So when you understand your why and you stay committed to it and you do that work, trust and believe you will see that thing come to pass. And I love the way you talked about connecting with the movers and the shakers, knowing who the movers and the shakers are in your community, not just locally, but in your online community, and partnering. Partnership is so important. So it's not just important to network, but we must partner with the movers and shakers. God has called people to us, and people us to them. So we have to get out there and tell people what we're doing, because if they don't know what we're doing, how can they bite? So you can go out to the pier with your fishing rod, but if you don't put no bait on it, the fish is not going to bite. And how they going to bite on the vision if you haven't written it out? How they going to bite on it if you don't even know your why? And you should have more than just one reason why you're doing what you're doing. So that's what I want to say, and I'm going to yield my mic at this time.
You just said a whole word. I'm just over here clapping and waving my hands in the air. I claim everything you said. And I really want to encourage everyone that's starting out in business. You always have to know that you're going to have struggles. You're going to have what I call your dips. I've done a bunch of videos about this on Facebook where you're going to have your dips. You have to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with like-minded women going in the same direction that you're going that will clap for you louder for you than they will for themselves. I just felt like I need to tell that to somebody who, if you're struggling in your business right now, evaluate your circle. Find your group of women that if you're going through your dip right now, they will either come in there and pull you, kick you, drag you by your hair, hide your lashes, whatever they got to do to help you get out your dip. Make sure you have someone like that in your circle because it will make the difference in your business. Because I have had many days, and it's funny because I did a video a year ago saying that my biggest fear is I quit right before I got my keys. I quit my business and I had a friend come pull me out my dip, make me get back to work, and I got the keys to that building the very next day. Make sure you are surrounding yourself with people that want to see you succeed in your business. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with people that are in the same lane that you're in and that have been where you're going. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who want to get to where you are because you all help each other. I always say, if you can reach one if you can teach one. If you're learning it, teach it to somebody else, and then somebody will teach it to you. I've had so many people help me just because they saw me help someone else. Don't lose hope. Don't lose focus when you don't feel like people don't support you. Those people were not meant to support you because sometimes God have to move them out of your way so the only person you can give the glory to is him. That person that you thought was supposed to give you a loan, they were not supposed to give you a loan because if they had given you a loan, then you could have said that they're the reason for your success. But by you working and trusting in God and you getting it another way, then you can say that he is the only reason for everything that you have. At the end of every test, God, and I almost hope that I remembered what God promised me. Remember that I'm going through my test and what I'm just the name.
Wow, Sequise, that was so powerful. Um, we have to make sure that we are connected to the right people and we have to have accountability. That's what we call it in the business world, in life, accountability. It's important for us to have people in our corner that's not going to be the yes man or the yes woman, but people that's going to tell us when our stuff stink and how it stink, how it look, and when we need if we're not leveling up, we need people that's going to do that. That's who Shantae is to me, because Shantae didn't tell y'all. Her and I, we met at American Express when we were customer service agents. Good friends, and not just friends, but we became business partners. She's my prayer partner, and let me tell you, Shantae will call me and tell me about my stuff in a heartbeat, in a quick New York second. So that is very important, and I love that. Accountability is real, and we have to be able to align ourselves with those that can keep us focused the purpose that God has given us. And you talked about wanting to quit. And one thing that I learned early on in life is to hold on to every dream that God has given me and not to let anyone break me down. And I'm not going to get too deep into this, but hey, anytime you have a dream that scares and intimidates people, they're gonna want to break you down. They're gonna want to make you quit. All you have to do is go back to the beginning of the Bible, go to Genesis, and read about the story of Joseph. He had a dream, and his brothers couldn't handle the heat. They couldn't handle the fact what God had showed them. But if they had enough wisdom and intellect to hear and see what the Spirit of the Lord was saying, they would have realized that God was preparing them for something. And sometimes the people that are trying to block that thing that you're trying to do, those that don't support you, don't worry about who don't support you, because God has sent a ram in the bush for you. You didn't even know you was going to be in this room tonight, and that you was going to encourage someone, and that you was going to be encouraged. So don't ever allow anyone to break you down or to break down your dream. And do know that you know what it is that's in you, that God will allow it to manifest. And God put that thing in you for a reason and for a purpose. And hold on to that dream. Don't let it go. And I don't care if you feel like you're in the pit of despair. Do know that Joseph was in the pit for a little bit. But when he got out of the pit, he moved from the pit to the palace. And in this season, as we prepare and as we work on the things that God has given us, do know that God will put us in our palace place. God will give the ears of the kings. God will give us the king's ear and give the king's heart. We will be able to speak to kings and queens, to leaders of nations, if we do what God tells us to do. So just think about the dream that you have and how powerful it is. And if God could have put Joseph in Potiphar's palace, where can God put you? Satan only fights what he is afraid of. And people that comes against your dream only going to fight you because they're afraid. And I hate to say it, especially people of color, we like to be little crabs in a barrel, and they just want to pull you down. But don't be afraid. Keep climbing out of that bucket, and we're no longer in that bucket. We have to rise to the top. So my name is Samelia, the Transformation Strategist. I'm going to yield my mic at this moment.
Thank you so much for that. I can't add anything else to the end of that. You summed up this conversation very, very well. Again, ladies, thank you for coming into the room and joining in on the conversation with us. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. I thank you for those of you that have not joined the Mommyhood and Entrepreneurship Club. I would like to ask you to go ahead and join the club. Follow us. Follow us. If you're not following us, hit your notification bell button so you'll be aware of when we open up to conversations again. If you would like more information in reference to Sequise and what it is that she does in her business, you can get more information at aboveaveragehealthcare.com. Her link is pinged at the top of the room. For Samelia Eugene, aka the Transformational Strategist, you can get more information and work with her by going to her website, SameliaEugene.com. If you want information about starting your own home care agency, you can go to workwithshante.com. You can watch a free webinar on the profitability of starting your own home care agency. If you want to start your own journey of repairing your credit, you can get my credit repair book at bit.ly/royal credit. I would like to invite you all to tune in with us on Monday mornings at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Clubhouse on Mommyhood and Entrepreneurship. Every Monday morning, we have a entrepreneurs prayer club every Monday morning. Again, that is at 6 a.m. Central Standard Time, 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we just come into agreement with each other and we uplift each other's businesses in prayer and stand in agreement and get our week started off correctly by committing our businesses to God. Do any of you ladies on stage have any final words you would like to say?
Shantae, thank you again for creating this space. And I just wanted to say, for those of you to follow the room, to join the club, go to the top of the page and hit the green house at the top of the page, and you'll be able to be a part of the Mommyhood and Entrepreneurship. We had another entrepreneur on the stage. Shantae, if you can check out your text message, the website to realign my space, provided there. If you can ping it, that way we all can know how to go back when we listen to the replay and grab that link. And thank you again for giving us the opportunity and the space to be able to share and to connect. And I look forward to connecting with you, Sequise.
Thank you again for listening to the replay of a recent conversation I had with some women in Clubhouse, the Clubhouse group, Mommyhood and Entrepreneurship. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to listen to the replay. Thank you for finding my channel. If you found this conversation to be of benefit to you, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. I appreciate it. And share the video with someone else on YouTube. And I hope to see you again. And I hope to see you join us one day live on Clubhouse for a live conversation where we can have a live interaction between each other. And please stay tuned to on my YouTube channel to catch some additional videos. I know this is just an audio replay of a previous conversation, but going forward, there will be some actual visual videos as well. So you'll be able to see exactly what I look like. Thank you again for your time and have a great day. Oh, and by the way, I'm going to put in the description box the link of those individuals, Sequise, Samelia, and Julie's information will be the links to contact and connect with them will be down in the description box. Also in the description box, you'll be able to see the link for my do-it-yourself guide to repairing your own credit, to my book Royal Credit. It is a ebook, so if you purchase it, you'll be able to immediately download it. It has the letters that you'll need in order to send out to the various credit bureaus and such. It also has the letter in it that you can send to medical collections. If you have medical bills on your credit report, you don't have to worry about that being on your credit for the next 7 to 10 years. There is a way to legally have medical bills removed from your credit report. And if you purchase my book, Royal Credit, you can download it and the letters will populate immediately. And you just have to tweak it to fill in your information and make it relevant to your specific situation. Again, please hit like and subscribe. Until next time, have a great day.